everybody, and welcome back to another series of Cuppa Tea with the Vet. And we've got Adrian Caunter joining us today from the VetsKlinic in Swindon. And I'm really excited about this because I've been waiting such a long time to meet Adrian. And I do physio for some of his patients, which is really lovely. So now I'm actually getting to meet the face that many of my clients even talk about, which is really nice. And Adrian's got so much to talk to us about. It's going to be really cool. So, Adrian, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. It's an honour to be here. My name's Adrian. I'm a vet. I've been a vet for many years now. 2006 I qualified. Been around the block a bit in terms of the industry. So started off in first opinion practice in Gloucester for a year, did some out of hours work, then moved to Reading as a head vet for a few years before coming over to VetsKlinic, which is really, my baby and something I'm really proud of and hopefully can talk a bit more of and where we'd like to go from there. Spent a bit of time away from there a few years ago doing some specialist work at cat surgery for referral, and then went into regional work for one of the big corporates as a manager before coming back to kind of really kick on with VetsKlinic and take it forward, really. So, yeah, that's me in a kind of veterinary nutshell.
That's amazing. So I've got to take you back to Reading because obviously a lot of my patients are in the whole Reading area because obviously that's where we're based. So where did you work there? Because that means some people who are watching might well know you from previous.
From back in the day, yeah. So I worked at a vet practice called Abbey Vets, which was right in had a few practices. It's no longer in its form. It's now a Medivet practice, which is actually. Yeah, that's actually the practices that I then ran as regional director when I was working for that corporate. So that was quite interesting to see that from the independent side and from the corporate side and go back in management. So yeah, that's where I was.
Wow, that's really interesting. Well, our paths have probably crossed, and actually, I've got a cat patient who's there, so you probably know them, which would be really weird because they've been there for years. And
you've done very well to avoid me all this time.
It's just a small world. It's just a small world. So I also am going to make sure that I let everybody know Adrian is absolutely no fearful person of TV. His clinic is actually set up for doing presentations and presenting. When you go in the clinic, there is a big glass box which they used to broadcast from, which is really interesting. And I just asked Adrian about his history with that because I actually thought it was one of the original vet school. I don't know how the older my era people watching will remember that there was this first TV vets that ever came on were the people coming out of vet school, and what Adrian knew, and he was just explaining the history there. So do you want to just explain the history there?
Well, there's my cat. He's going to appear several times throughout the night, I'm sure. So VetsKlinic was set up by a couple of vets, Jenny Philp and Joe Inglis, and Joe was one of the original vet school guys, and he was very keen on all this kind of TV stuff. So we did right from the word go. So I was head vet of the clinic from when we opened, and we did a weekly live TV broadcast, which is out there. Should anybody wish to look at my interesting facial hair from back in the day. And we would do, weekly guest shows. We'd have people on, talk about the news and stuff and interview. It's very interesting to be on this side of the fence because it's usually me asking the questions. And then from that, we're really keen on kind of education and bringing people into, making decisions and being on board with what's happening with their pets. So we did loads of stuff from a kind of educational point of view. So we've got loads of stuff out on YouTube as well. So used to being behind the camera, I have to say.
So you heard it here, guys. Get online, start asking questions because Adrian's not used to being this side of it. So take advantage and make sure you ask lots of questions and find out more about him. So I just want to make sure I jump on this as well because I know I've got loads of questions to ask about, but I want to find out because you said in your bio that you are an innovative practice anyway. I know that there are things you have a very different booking system and all that sort of thing, and actually you're quite famous for it. And so, what's this stuff that you've got coming that are you allowed to share? Is it a secret? What have you got going on in the south that you were like, we're going to do stuff?
Yeah, no, it's not a secret. So we've been going now, it's going to be 10 years, crazily, since we opened at the clinic this year. And it's always been the goal that we're going to have other clinics. We're going to expand our offering out, but we've never really wanted to do it in the same area. So we don't want to have other clinics in Swindon. It's going to be elsewhere. So we just had planning approved this week for a clinic in Reading. So hopefully work's going to start on that straight away. And we've previously had planning approved for one in Bristol as well, which is actually going to be a larger centre, a 24-hour hospital. So yeah, those are the ones that are coming. And as well as that, we're currently, you touched on our kind of booking system, and I'll happy to talk about a bit more about that. But we're just in the process of also building another practice management system. So we have our own one. That's the system that people can kind of book appointments for, and we run the day-to-day. And we've got our own one with its kind of unique features. And we're just about to bring on board our second version of that, which has got even more unique features and is going to push boundaries and kind of change the face of veterinary care even more. So yeah, that's what we've got coming.
Amazing. Can I ask how so? Because when you say push boundaries and change the face, I mean, those are strong words. So
I know. Yeah, and I think I stand behind them as well. So when we started 10 years ago, we were the first people to bring on board online booking. So it's a thing that's crept in now, and you can do it at more veterinary practices. But we were doing it 10 years ago, and we were doing it in a different way to now. So not only could you book your appointments online, you could choose your veterinary surgeon that you were seeing, you could choose your time of day, but not just your appointments, you could book everything, your operations, etc., are all bookable online. And more than that, it operates this kind of, it's like a flight system, where the pricing is variable. There's an algorithm that looks at how busy we are on the day and says, look, you're booking in advance, you're the first one, or we're quiet that day, you can have it at a cheaper price, and there's a discount that's offered for doing online. So yeah, and still nobody's doing that kind of variable pricing to kind of spread the workload out throughout the day. And even at the high end of the price structure, it's still the most affordable in Swindon, because that's something we're very proud of, to offer affordable prices. But we can make it even more affordable if you want to come at a quieter time, and obviously if you're doing all the work yourself and you're booking it online through the system. So yeah, that was one of the first that was out there anywhere. And then more than that, the system, one of the things that we love is that it's really transparent, and that glass prep room that you mentioned earlier is kind of the visual representation of the transparency we have, so you can see how we interact with your pets. And we try and do that throughout. Like, we don't have an out the back. If your pet needs a blood sample or something, or a catheter place, etc., we try and do that in the room with you. We don't take them away and then bring them back, so that you can see throughout what's going on. And the practice management system is an extension of that, so you can see your clinical notes, you can see everything that happens. But the best bit about it, I think, is that there are live updates throughout the day if your pet's in with us for an operation or for an inpatient. So if they're going into theatre, there'll be an update that says you're going into theatre now, and there'll be pictures throughout the surgery, etc. Nothing graphic, don't worry. Yeah. And then pictures and videos to say that they've recovered from the surgery, videos of them eating afterwards, so they're doing okay. So you don't have to sit by the phone waiting for the call or keep phoning up for an update. You get those updates through the system. And the new system is even better at that. It gives you kind of text messages to say, hey, they're all okay, they're out of surgery, etc. So yeah, it's a system that we're very proud of.
You should be. I mean, that's really good. I mean, for one, everybody loves affordable, and it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. I mean, there's a lot of industries that go on, book early, get it cheaper and stuff, which is really amazing. And, I have to say that it is reassuring. They're your babies you're leaving behind, and you just want to know everything. I'm absolutely hugest control freak when it comes to that. So I'm just like, no, don't go. So I can completely relate to that. And it must be really nice and reassuring that if you guys have got that as a structure that's set in place, you don't just forget one or forget to do this, forget to do that, because it's all part of your grain. So, I imagine that clients will love that. I mean, when obviously, yeah, you're totally right. You've done that for 10 years. And I knew about that a long, long time ago, because I hear everything from clients because they don't stop talking, which is lovely. And obviously through lockdown, everybody had to make changes. And I started, when I had to take, obviously I never take patients away from owners unless they literally tell me to. And I started, when I had to, filming just the first one, because it was a bit hard to film all of the sessions. But people found it so reassuring to just at least see what was going on. The people that had been in before, they were all right. They knew exactly what I did and it was all fine. But particularly when it's new to them, and even if they know the vets, to have that new procedure done, or, it's still something new to them. So I think that's really amazing. Are you guys independent?
Yeah, we are independent. We're a little bit unusual in terms of the type of model that we are. So when we set up years ago, when it was Joe and Jenny, they went out for funding. So we've got shareholders, So
Oh
we
yeah.
have people that have, you know, an interest financially in the clinic, but we're not one of the big corporates that you can hear of either. So it's kind of a little halfway house that we are.
No, that's cool. I mean, you've got to fund these things, haven't you?
Mhm.
So, yeah, and there's plenty of ways of doing that these days. Everybody's on the GoFundMe of some sort. So, yeah, that's very cool. I'm going to make sure I jump on and get everybody to, these are what people are saying so far, because you must know. So Jo she rocks. I don't know if you can think who she is, but she's one of my clients, has been one of my longest standing clients. And she says VetsKlinic rocks, which is lovely. And Lucy Hamilton says, oh, I love that feature. It was very reassuring. That was over all the film and photos. She sent that when we were talking about that bit. So thank you for that, Lucy. Thank you for telling us that, because it's really nice to hear other people say that as well. And Lucy has also said, Adrian is a great vet. He likes pugs. Not that I'm biased. Oh, bless.
It's probably quite a controversial opinion nowadays to like pugs. So I think it probably should jump on that slightly, and that I do love pugs, but I'm all in favor of an action pug. And if nobody knows what an action pug is, it's one that can run around and is absolutely fine. You know, those ones are brilliant. They have the best character. Yeah, massive fan of them.
Completely. I mean, it is a big subject at the moment, isn't it? And, you know, ultimately we just want healthy dogs. So, you know, but it's really hard for owners as well who have got these dogs already. So it's, you know, we've got to be looking after all of them and just make sure that we get the breeders sorted to get them in the right direction, and then we'll be all happy people again. So I'm going to start asking these questions. So what do you like to do in your spare time?
We're currently building 2 other practices, and the practice management system means there is no spare time. Yeah, I mean, we've touched on COVID slightly. We've mentioned it. It's been a horrid time for the profession. It's been a horrid time for everyone, you know, no doubt about that. Pre-COVID, I was a big fan of traveling. You know, who doesn't love to travel? But I haven't been able to do that for a few years now. So I am itching to get some in, although this year, obviously, with all the clinic developments, is probably going to be slightly challenging. That and cooking. I do love to cook as well.
Oh, nice. What do you like to cook?
Anything and everything, but usually something new. I like people to experiment on. That's kind of it. I don't massively like cooking for myself, which is, you know, 90% of what I do. But yeah, cooking for other people is great.
Yeah, I like doing that. It is fun, but then you get the confidence knock, and you're like, "Oh my god, is everybody gonna like it?" That's always scary.
Very fair. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. And where do you like to travel to? Are you a hot country person, cold country person, skier? You know.
So the idea of skiing, I don't get it. I don't get the whole strap yourself to some wood and throw yourself down a mountain. That doesn't appeal in any way, shape, or form. I'm more about different places. I don't like to go back to the same place. I'm more about something new. So that being said, if I had to pick somewhere, Greece is a fabulous country. I do some charity work out in Greece too, so go there quite a lot. Yeah, big fan.
Oh, nice. What's the charity work that you do?
So there's a Greek cat welfare society that I sit on the board for, and we do some kind of neutering clinics out there occasionally, and we fund stuff out there. So yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's a lovely part of the world, and it's nice work.
Yeah, I must admit it is one of the places I definitely want to go to as well. But yeah, list as long as my arm for places I'd like to actually, you know,
come with me next time. Do some physio on the island when I'm there. It's grand.
Oh, wow. I mean, you know, doesn't take a lot to make me do something, by the way. I ran a marathon just to prove a point. So
I'm not sure how much the feral cats will appreciate it, but, you know, we can give it a go.
Jo might come on here and tell you something about that, because actually her cat was pretty much, as far as anyone believes, feral as they come. Not properly, completely feral, obviously, but she would tell you that everybody else gets the hissing Tiggy, and I get the lovely head bop Tiggy. And
Nice.
she's always, for years, she's always been like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I don't see the other Tiggy you're talking about. And Jo has just come on and she's just said, when Pepsi Cat was put to sleep, they didn't rush us. They allowed us to take our time with him saying goodbye. So thoughtful, helped with the process. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Tiggy. Tiggy, I'm so sorry, Jo. That's really kind. And I'm thrilled to hear that, Adrian. That's really lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that everyone says, oh, you must hate this part of your job. And we don't like doing it, but I'm glad we can do it. You know, one of my best friends is a nurse in the pediatric field, and I think pediatric medicine is probably about as close as you can get to veterinary medicine. You know, you've got patients that don't really understand what's going on, and they come with these, dedicated, really attached owners that are, really care about what the outcome is going to be. And she is so jealous that we can do that, and she can't, and you have to watch people that can't understand suffer. So yeah, not something we enjoy doing, but yeah, something I'm very glad that we have the option and the privilege to do. But you have to do it in the right way,
Completely couldn't agree more. And as many people watching this know, I've been through it very recently myself, and to be done right, it is life-changing. And emotionally, your head is we have to protect our head, right? And so to get it done right, it just makes the world a difference. So well done. It's really nice to hear that comment on there, for sure. And yeah, I don't think I would want to work in pediatrics either. I have a friend who's a pediatric consultant, and I used to talk to her, and the things she'd say, I'd be like, whoa. And I definitely agree that kids and dogs, so similar. Well, yeah, probably. I'm definitely much more experienced with the dog ownership side of things. But yes, cats for sure. I mean, certainly in the love front as well. I more mean that cats will definitely do their own thing a lot more than dogs. Dogs will wait and be told, but then kids will also do their own thing. So who knows? Who knows? So what made you decide to become a vet?
You know what? It's one of those things that I decided when I was 4. I don't know why I decided when I was 4, but 4. And I've never reconsidered at any point since then. It's just, that's what you're going to do. And it's what I always have done. Yeah. And it's one of those things, when you say, tell me about yourself, it's an interesting question when someone asks that, because it gives a lot away about what they feel about it. For me, the first thing is vet. I mean, I can't really detach that from me, and it's just been since the word go that's kind of always what it's been.
I think that is totally fair enough as well. I mean, some people just know their calling. Other ones, they have to, explore and then find their calling. There are people that come into veterinary late and they're still amazing vets. It's no different. Mm-hmm. It's just, you just knew your calling early. And yeah, I mean, I've been in animals forever. That's how I say it. I'm animals. That's what I am. You couldn't work with anything else. So, no. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's amazing, though. So you've been very focused for a very long time. Well done. So what's your favourite part of being a vet?
I mean, it's similar to my answer about, where I like to go on holiday, really. It's the variety. No 2 days are the same. And what you're doing is really rewarding, if you can make a difference. And even if that difference is helping an owner to say goodbye in the right way, then that's a rewarding day. And who doesn't want to do a job that's rewarding, right?
Completely. No, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, and also, at the end of the day, your whole story of what you've been doing has all been a journey with lots of change, but that's all added to how good you've ended up becoming now to do this part of your journey. It's really fascinating because you've done a lot. You have done a lot. So
it's all a journey, yeah. And yeah, I like to keep. Well, same for all of our team. We like to keep improving it and changing. We don't get stuck in a rut. We always want to push ourselves, push the business, push what we can do. So, and this is a profession where you can continue to push yourself.
Absolutely. So, what pets have you got?
So currently I just have the one cat. He was in the picture that I sent you guys. He will appear, I'm sure, again at some other point. He's very good at doing that. His name is Frank. He's a classic vet pet. He's a classic vet pet in 2 ways. So one, I inherited him. So he has a grade 6. So people who don't know, we grade murmurs from 1 to 5, 1 to 6, depending on the score that you're using. He has a grade 6 murmur, so just about as bad as it can get. And he was presented for a booster vaccination, and obviously with a grade murmur that bad, he needed some investigations, but the owners couldn't afford it, so they wanted to euthanize him. But he's otherwise completely healthy, so he was signed over to the clinic. It was an old clinic of mine, and they managed to rope me into taking him. At the time, I was holed up in the house. I'd broken my hip and fractured my pelvis, and I was off work for a period of time. So he gave me some company for that time. He was only supposed to really carry on about a year with his heart condition. He's 3 years in. He's showing no signs of slowing down. So yeah, so classic vet pet in that he's broken and we acquired him. Also classic vet pet in that he's an absolute bugger to do anything with. I can't listen to his heart to see how it's progressing. I can't look in his mouth. I can't do anything with him at all. He's a complete nightmare.
Oh, bless him. Laura has just jumped on and said, "Love Frank." Thanks, Laura. How did you break your hip? That's ouch.
Oh no, it's a really sad story, and everyone says I should come up with like a better one. I just fell over, right? I'm getting old, right? I just fell over. I was walking back from the shop. I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's pitch black. I fell over, landed on a stone, and that was it. Game over. I was bringing myself a bottle of wine back. On that note, I think if you're having 7 o'clock chats with people in the veterinary profession, and I'm off tomorrow as well, then mug of wine with the vet is probably a more accurate representation than a cup of tea.
You could.
But I have actually got a cup of tea. I will say that now.
You could have put wine in there. Nobody would know.
But yeah, I went to get wine, and the wine did not make it, and I ended up in hospital for several weeks, and then off work for several weeks more. Not as many as I was supposed to be, but I missed it too much. I was back after about 4 or 5 weeks, I think. I was signed off for 12, but yeah,
I can well believe it. I can't believe that is so embarrassing though as well, to fall over with a bottle of wine. You must have been mortified. You couldn't even prove that you hadn't drunken that.
No, it was horrific. And yeah, well, because I live in the middle of nowhere as well, I was there for about 2 hours before anybody found me. So yeah, fun time. Yeah.
That was so scary. Are you all right? I would be traumatized for life over that.
No, it's fine. It is fine. But yeah, that wasn't a fun time. But
you didn't have your mobile phone on you then?
No signal.
Oh,
middle of nowhere.
Ouch. Oh my God, that's awful. You poor thing. I'm actually quite traumatized for you now. I think I'm going to have a bad dream tonight, and it's going to be all to do with I'm not going to be able to walk, and I'm going to be trapped. God, that's awful. That's really thrown me now. I'm gonna.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
Yeah. Oh wow, blimey, poor you. So Reese says, "Hello, Adrian. Have you got a favourable part of veterinary medicine? Is breaking your hip to get some extra time off work?"
I wish. Yeah, like I said, it drove me mad being off work for that time. You don't realise how much you miss it till you're away from it. So
I can well believe that. And I have to say, by the way, about your boring story side of things, in my experience, generally, the worst injuries always come from the most boring stuff. I'm a gymnast, and people hurt themselves all the time at gymnastics, but never doing anything cool. And my friend Lucy, she'll kill me for saying this, but she really badly sprained her ankle once. Like, it was horrendous, black, looked awful, had to have time off work, had to actually claim on the insurance and everything. And she did it stepping off of the tumble track. Like, literally wasn't doing a thing. She literally just walking, and then managed to just roll her ankle. It's like, how did you even do that? So yeah, you're not alone in the boring story there. But yeah, you do. You need to just do some other stuff to just make sure you get some news stories that are much more fun.
And skiing and fracture myself in a different way. Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. Get those planks of wood; they'll definitely do it for you.
I don't think anyone from my work would be keen on that. If I can break myself walking home, then skiing definitely will end very badly.
That's fair enough. Well, no, I don't know. You never do anything bad when you're concentrating hard, so you never know.
Never know.
So I love this question because everybody's got to have a thing. What is the thing that still grosses you out of being a vet?
Yeah, when I thought, is there anything that grosses me out? All the blood and guts and pus and all that stuff. It doesn't bother me at all. Interesting, it does in people, right? People stuff, horrific. You can't deal with any of that at all. But there is something in veterinary medicine. It's bones. Bones are gross. No offense to physiotherapy and all that, but it's the broken bones and the grating, and when the legs kind of flopping around and going, but horrible. Yeah, that's horrible.
Floppy leg is exceptionally disgusting. I do agree. And you're not the first vet to say that. And I actually used to work with a vet who, when she did an amputation, if she ever had to use the bone cutters, she used to wrap them up in little towels. So we'd have to have extra autoclave towels so that she could wrap up the bone cutters and then do it. And she would literally look away and go, 1, 2, 3, take a deep breath and do it. And it was so funny because we didn't understand, it didn't bother us either. And but it was one thing that really turned her stomach. And you're all right. I mean, when they crunch around, if you've got broken ends together, oh, that's not nice. So, and I don't even like that. And that's what I do. So yeah, I completely agree. It's not nice in the slightest. That said, I had a dog with subcut emphysema in the other day, and
that's fun. That's basically walking bubble wrap. It's great.
Not fun. It was disgusting. And it reminded me how disgusting that was, because I was just like, Wow, I'd forgotten how disgusting this was. I hadn't had to see that in years. So, but most things are generally right. I don't like dangling eyeballs either.
No, I'm okay with eyes. That's all right. Yeah.
Eyes are disgusting.
Or
Yuck.
apart from putting things into eyes, so those crazy vets that are out there like putting needles in to drain fluid out, that's a bit gross. Don't put needles in there.
No, that's too far. So Reese also said, I think you should do
yeah, there you go.
skip skiing. You should skip skiing. Fair enough. They all know you better than I do. Olivia says, favorite bit about having students visit the practice.
So there's a good name for the. So this Olivia is one of the nurses that I used to manage back when I was managing at Medivet, and she took the decision, and brave to her, and well played as well, to stop training to be a nurse and go and pursue veterinary. So she's actually currently training to be a vet at Bristol Uni, and yes, she has come to see some practice with us. I think when I talk about having students into the practice and what's the great thing about having them there. It's so nice to have people at the early stage of their career that are just so enthusiastic and so want to learn and bring in the kind of new stuff, as long as they do it in the right way. These vets that have been doing it for years and there's new medicine that they might not know about it, but if they can bring that information and challenge people in the right way, then that is great. But to kind of help teach and help learn and see them progress, and then potentially steal them as new vets, and if Reading has been approved, so then great.
That's really nice. And it's a really positive thing for you to say as well about, new grids information as well, because you're absolutely right. That is a big thing. And actually it's quite intimidating for a lot of new grads, isn't it? Going to a new practice, working with vets who've been doing it for 20, 30 years. They've got new ideas, new thoughts, because that's what they've been taught. They actually have never taught and learnt the old way, which may have worked for 20 years. Absolutely fine. Maybe nothing wrong with it, but actually they've got a new way. And then they kind of, it's a butt head situation, or oh my god. So you're right, it's got to be handled correctly and diplomatically, because neither may be wrong. But it is interesting. I've been nursing 20 years ago. I qualified. Wow. So it's really interesting when you talk to the older vets and then you talk to the younger vets, and and you do you hear both sides of it. It's very, very interesting. But that's evolution, isn't it? And it's a good
getting
thing.
faster, the evolution, right? I mean,
Scary.
It's since 20 years is about how long I've been doing it as well, certainly in terms of seeing practice. And yeah, it's changed from then massively, but it's changing faster. And who knows what it's going to look like in 10 years' time? We can only guess, really.
Totally true. Mo says, I live in Plymouth now, but always come up to the clinic for Lottie's vaccinations and for telephone advice. They are great. When are you going to open a clinic down here?
World domination is in the plans, just not in the next few years. So, yeah.
Hold fire then, Mo. It's not a no, it's a hold fire. So, what would your dream achievement be if time was no object and money no object?
And money no object. It's going to sound like a really nauseating answer, but I really love what we're doing currently with the new clinics and the practice and how we're trying to change things, and giving you a kind of glimpse of what that might look like from the owner point of view in terms of the portal and coming to see us, but in terms of the affordability and the transparency. And we've changed how it works in Swindon. Hi, Frank. We've changed how it works in Swindon, and I'm optimistic that we'll change how it works in Reading and then in Bristol, and who knows there afterwards. And it's not just changing how it works for clients, but how it works for the pets coming to see us, and how it works for the staff. It's a hard industry for the staff, and we really want to kind of change the work-life balance and what it means to work in the industry, and force people around us to follow the same suit. So one of the things I was looking at, so on our system we've always had our prices available to the public, all our routine stuff, and the new system has even more prices available, and that transparency, so you know what you're going to pay and you're not surprised by it at the end of the day. And all the clinics in Swindon now have all their prices on the website, as well, because that's what people around us expect. And we were looking a few months ago, Reading, where are we going to put it? What are the practices around us? Are we going to be competitive? Are we going to fit in okay? And only 2 of the practices out of 15 had their prices on their website. And it's the same kind of in Bristol, it's just not out there, that transparency. But when someone goes in and does it, then the others have to follow suit. So
Totally true. And do you know, actually, funny enough, I was literally having a conversation with a client today who was really quite annoyed about costs. And I said, you must be available to have them, you must be have a price list that you can see, because I actually thought that that was a requirement. And because I thought you had to list your top 20 things or something. And she said, no, no, no. And so it's funny that you say that, because that was Reading area. So I just thought that was normal, actually. But apparently not. But yeah, transparency is so important. Absolutely. So yeah, that's a very good goal and very achievable. So, you know, that's lovely.
You get there, yeah.
So Tina says, what's the smallest animal you've ever operated on?
I don't think I've ever gone smaller than a hamster. I don't think. Well, mouse maybe. I think I did a mouse amputation back in the day, but yeah,
Wow.
hamster mitra. So, you know, spaying hamsters is something I've done a couple of times. That's incredibly fiddly work, but rewarding. You know, I think the fiddly stuff is what we enjoy. Yeah, the more technical and fiddly, the better, really, as a surgeon.
Yeah, I mean, you must have had to have such steady hands to be able to do that.
Oh, I always left them on the table for sure.
I mean, it's just the size comparisons, because I remember a vet telling me this once, because I had to do an intramuscular injection in a hamster, which I was trying.
Never done that.
Oh, it was horrible. And then he was saying, well, yeah, it's kind of like sticking a scaffolding pole in your leg, isn't it? Like, I was like, that's not helpful. I was mortified, absolutely mortified. And I was like, it's a good point though, isn't it? And, you know, so you're going in with the tiniest instruments you've got, and yet they're still like effectively like using a chainsaw instead of a scalpel blade. So, yeah. It's madness. That's absolutely amazing. How come you ended up doing the amputation, and how did that go? Because obviously for the physio, that's totally, you know, blown my mind, because
well, it's definitely back in the day. I'll scrape the barrels now, but I'm pretty sure it had fractured its leg, and repair was not an option, so we amputated and did quite well. I mean, we're talking like maybe it lasted a month afterwards, but in, you know, mice terms, that was pretty good, I think.
That's the thing. Mice terms, we've got to understand that is probably really, really good. So that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, that's blown my mind. What a great question, Tina. Thank you so much for asking. So, Barbara, hi Barbara, has said, Adrian, if you have a wish, what would you want?
Oh, well, is this a selfish wish, or is it a, you know?
Yes, go on, make it one. Go for it.
Something I've always wanted to do, and I'd love to be able to speak multiple languages. Wouldn't that be great? You know, just be able to converse and speak. I think anybody who can speak 2 languages is amazing, but yeah, the ability to speak loads would be fantastic.
This is Barbara. She does speak 2 languages, at least. I think she actually speaks more than 2 languages.
In awe of Barbara already, yeah. I
know. I'm so in awe of these people, because I talk to a lot of people around the world. Barbara's in Switzerland watching this, it's amazing how many people are, I want to say dual lingual, because but they're multilingual as well, and it's like, puts us to shame, doesn't it?
It does. You know, I mean, nothing but awe as well for people that come over to the UK and work in our profession. To do what we do, communication is so key, and to be doing that in a different language is just phenomenal. So yeah, fair play to anybody who's over here working as a veterinary surgeon in not their first language.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm trying to learn German, and I find it so hard, but I'm trying so hard to do it, and I'm trying to do my little bit every day, just 5 minutes, but oh blimey, it's not easy. We are definitely very rubbish at that over here. But talking of chat, if you could have a Facebook Live with anybody in the whole wide world, dead or alive, who would it be?
I mean, it's probably quite cliche, but it's got to be Sir David Attenborough, hasn't it? Man's an absolute legend.
Totally agree. I mean, he would be an awesome person to talk to. So yeah, that's very, very cool, and totally makes sense. I mean, that man has got a serious head on him, hasn't he? So
yeah, it's just the life he's had is just phenomenal. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd like to talk to the Queen for the same reasons. Unbelievable what she's achieved. You think, God, that's amazing, isn't it? So yeah,
I was supposed to chat to the Queen a few years back, actually, but I missed my opportunity. I was doing an extra year. I did a second degree in pathology at the RVC, which is an integrated a year. And the Queen was coming to visit, and with the Duke of Edinburgh at the time, and we were supposed to meet her, all the people in our course. But we had this lecturer that was flying over from America to give us lecture on SARS or something, I can't remember. And he had to change the date. It was the only date he could do. So he jumped the Queen. We had to sit through his lecture on SARS rather than meet the Queen. So there we go.
Oh, no, that's God. I would be. I don't think I'd be up. No, I'm wagging. Sorry, mate. Oh my God, that's yeah. Oh, gutted. I'm gutted for you.
Oh, it was quite a fun lecture, to be fair.
You what? Sorry.
It was quite a fun lecture, to be fair. But...
Oh well, it better be.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd at heart. That's probably coming across, so I quite enjoyed it. But
good. But yeah, I'm still feeling for you. Broken hip from doing nothing, missing the Queen. Gutted. So tell us something that people don't know about you.
Trouble is, I'm quite an open book, so most of the people who know me know most things about me. That's the trouble. There was a couple of things that sort of mind. So one of the things I quite like as a fun story is that it comes back to the cooking thing, is that I was the first scout in the world to get all 3 cook's badges. Something I'm very proud of. So historically, cooking was not thought to be, back when I was growing up, something that boys did, right? It was something that was taught to girls back in the day. Thankfully, not the case anymore. So there were only 2 cook's badges available for boys. Whereas guides had more. One was the beginners and one was the instructors, and that was it. So we had to write to get special permission to do an advanced cookery badge. So there's only 6 of us to do that, and then I was the only one to go on and do the instructors one. So yeah, first in the world to get all 3. Hopefully they do have advanced as a routine thing now, but yeah, breaking boundaries back then as a scout.
That is really good. I really like that. And actually, that's just weird timing, because I was literally talking to my daughter tonight about that, because I said, we were talking about, she was saying there's certain professions that she thinks she's heard that are sort of male orientated, like being a fireman. And I was like, no. And my husband was like, no. And then, and she said something about being a cook. And I said, yeah, no, that's funny. I said, because historically people did used to say that was a woman's work. And then now, of course, it's male dominated. And I said, but at the end of the day, you do whatever you like. She said, yeah, because I want to be a chef. She wants to be a chef. Yeah, it's funny though, because obviously people like Gordon Ramsay and stuff, they must have just fought through it, didn't care, just carried on anyway. And yeah, it definitely feels like a very male-dominated place now. And you might well have been the leader on that.
Well, it's what I would do if I wasn't a vet. If I had to not be a vet, I'd be that.
That is absolutely amazing. So tell me, what's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
So spontaneity in me, I'm not sure that I have a great deal of it anymore going on, although I'm a bit of an ideas man, and people put their hands on their heads and I've got a new idea. But historically, I mean, I used to go on quite a lot of holidays when I was younger where I wouldn't book anything. I'd just go, I fancy going away now with my friend, and you just jump on a train, jump on a plane, no booking, no hotel, no nothing. You try and sort it out when you got there. We went 6 weeks around America without really any idea of where we were going to go. And I'm not sure whether that counts as spontaneity or willful endangerment of children, but I wouldn't recommend it to people now. But that was probably one of the most spontaneous things I used to do. Now I have a hobby. It's a spontaneous hobby for old people probably, but I really like it. So I quite like to head off on a drive, preferably with company. But the whole point of the drive is to get lost. It's to explore somewhere you've never been before. It's to find a new village, find a new town, find a new pub, find somewhere pretty. But yeah, find somewhere you never would have explored had you gone down that road. So I quite like that. It's quite a nice way to send a Sunday, but it's a very old, spontaneous thing to do.
You're describing my youth and my growing up. I feel like you should go with my parents, because that's one thing I remember growing up with my parents. Like, you've gone the wrong way. No, I didn't. Yes, you have. Oh, we don't know where we are. Literally, that's my memories. And then we'd arrive in Birmingham at my aunt's house, which is usually where we're aiming for. And then she'd, in a very Birmingham accent, which I won't copy now.
Oh, God, I say go for it, yeah.
You don't want Castle Bromwich, and then a whole lot of swearing, because that's where we always ended up. So yeah, some reason we always end up there. No matter what turning they took, Castle Bromwich was like this magnet. But they could always get home, and Dad always insisted it's because he could smell the teapot. Always could get home. Always could get home. I dread to think what time. I remember one time driving home with no lights on because we managed to lose all the power in our battery. But long time ago. So yeah, no, that sounds amazing. I think that's quite funny that you're labelling that an old thing to do, because I'm remembering historically, but I don't know that I would label it an actually old person thing to do.
Good, I approve.
Exactly. I think everybody wants to know where the toilet is if they're old, not get lost. So yeah, that's fair enough. So we've learned loads about your business and what you do and everything like that. And I just wondered if you wanted to do any shout outs to anyone particular at your workplace. Now you've got loads of people watching, you probably need to be careful about that.
Yeah, well, some of them have shouted out. So, you know, I mean, we couldn't do it without the team. I mean, VetsKlinic only exists because of the team, and that goes from everybody, the newest members, all the way to the top. And one of the things we're really keen on is trying to push people to develop themselves and take themselves forwards. And we've got about 70% of our staff now are doing kind of advanced certificates and branching into other areas. And that's just hopefully going to mean that when we've got this network of practices, that we'll be able to offer kind of an internal referral service as well. So take that first opinion stuff, but then push on. So, you know, there isn't one that I would single out above another, because we couldn't do it without all of them, unless you really make me, and then I will.
Oh, no, that's lovely. I mean, that's basically Go Team VetsKlinic, which is really, really nice. And I think it's really lovely that you are pushing people, because people don't want to stagnate in their work. They want the opportunity to flourish. And I think that's probably the one thing that you hear when you're talking to people is, I'm not going anywhere. I don't know how. Someone won't listen to me. They won't let me do it, you know, and I've been there in my past. That's why I'm self-employed. So, you know, you just want to do what you want to do. So I think that's absolutely amazing. And it means you can keep your staff, which is wonderful. So that leads me on to my next question. What do you love about Physio?
Well, this is a really interesting point. And I was having a chat today with a friend who's a physio. She's joined us recently at the clinic, but she's come to learn to be a nurse. She's not doing physio work currently, and I had a really interesting chat with her, because I feel like we're at the stage now, Diane, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like any resistance in terms of embracing and growing and everything that physio can do, maybe we're at the point now where it's the profession that's holding it back, not the public and not you guys, right?
Wow, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, I think there's this historic feeling of, right, physio, right, this dog has a cruciate injury, we fixed its cruciate, it goes to physio, right? I just think that's a really small part of what you guys can offer. And I think a much bigger one is, and this is one of the ways I see the profession changing over the next 10 years, is a lot of the stuff that was historically veterinary based work is going to come away from us. We're not going to be one-man bands working out of little practices anymore. We're going to be practices like the Clinic, big ones where we offer urgent and emergency care, and a lot of all that other stuff around it is going to move on to the paraprofessionals. So the management of an older dog, an arthritic cat, it will be involved in that, but you guys are going to be doing so much more of it, I think, you know, and what you can offer is so much more than what we can offer. We've got the drugs, but there's way much more to it than that. So that for me is very exciting in kind of seeing where that goes and embracing that moving forwards, really.
Oh, you're a superstar. That was an amazing answer. And I'm going to even say, look, Laura even said it. She said, right answer, Mr. Caunter. Yeah, thank you so much for that. That's absolutely amazing. And it's really lovely to hear when vets say about embracing paraprofessionals, because I can't agree more. And, you know, I've got some exciting stuff coming forwards, and it is about working together and teamwork and collaborating. And I mean, I feel very proud that I've got such a great vet network that I work with, and do say work with me. And you know, and it's really nice when you get emails from, you know, you haven't had to ask for it, and the owner hasn't had to ask for it, and they've suggested it, and you're like, oh yay. So yeah, that's really lovely. So thank you so much for that. So I wanted to also ask, what's the weirdest dream you've ever had?
Oh, we were debating whether this one was going to come up today, and this is potentially going to be one of those sharing too much posts, because I do have a weirdest dream, and I wonder whether I want it out there on the internet.
Oh, go on! I'm so glad I asked. Now most people say, "I don't remember."
Everyone at home's going, "No, don't tell them that. You sound like a mental person." But okay, so weirdest dream is and I'll probably tell you all of it. So I once dreamt that a certain super veterinary surgeon, and I think we all know who we're talking about, performed a cesarean section on me. And I gave birth to a litter of kittens.
Okay, I can see why you didn't want to share that one. In all fairness, I mean,
you've got a lot of ones where you wake up and you go, "What the heck was that all about?" But yeah,
wow, yeah, that's fair enough. But look, you love cats, and that's just suggesting you want even more of them, and lots of them all to yourself.
One is enough.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, that particular vet just popped in your head because he probably was on the TV earlier that day.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's an amazing dream, and really surprisingly cute and very vetty at the same time. Like ridiculously vetty. I mean, you've stayed on point. You are literally, I'm a vet, all completely day and night, sleep, awake. I'm a vet.
Yeah. Very two-dimensional veterinary surgeon.
Exactly. I mean, questionable whether male or female, obviously now having a babies, but I'm definitely a vet.
All for it. Empowerment these days. If I want to have a litter of kittens, I can have a litter of kittens.
Absolutely. And you probably watched, have you seen the film? Oh, the film's gone out of my head, but I really like it. Where Arnold Schwarzenegger has a baby.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. You probably watched that day as well.
That's the two things.
It's a really good film. I like it. I mean, who would make a better dad than Arnie, eh? So, Barbara has also jumped on. She's also put a zillion thumbs up. She's also a fellow physio. So she very much appreciated your answer over the physio. So if you could treat any zoo animal, what would it be?
I don't know if it counts as a zoo animal, but it's got to be sea turtles, hasn't it? I mean,
that's cool. Yeah, that counts.
Then you're in like Mauritius or wherever treating them. And there's a couple of programs out there. And I think, when I'm long in the tooth and I've retired and I have my yacht, one of the things because I'll still be a vet, right? Because that's just through the middle.
That's you.
Is I'd quite like to travel around and do a lot more charity work. And that's the kind of thing that is right up the street. Yeah. A bit of turtle work sounds beautiful.
That does sound absolutely amazing. And the turtles will definitely appreciate it. So, yeah, that's very, very cool. So, what's the most memorable part of your career so far?
It's a good question. I suppose the honest answer, and it's one that, I don't know, maybe you think the same, but a lot of us do, is that the ones that tend to stick with you, unfortunately, are the ones that didn't go the way you wanted. We all carry around with us this little almost graveyard of pets where things didn't happen the way you wanted, and they're the things that you remember the most, and they keep you up at night, etc., and you try and learn from. And they're not what people from the outside world were looking. They think, oh, was it not when you got your certificate, or when you were head vet the first time, or when you did your first cesarean section, which was 2 days into my career. No, they're not the things you remember. Yeah, 13 Great Danes it was, my first cesarean section, 2 days in. And I remember thinking at the end of the surgery that I was really bent over because the dog was a lot smaller than it was when I started, because all these massive pups had been taken out. But yeah, those aren't the things you remember. It's the other stuff. But, that's what drives you, and that's why you want to improve.
That's amazing and really honest of you as well, because you're absolutely right. Those situations happen to every single person. And if they haven't happened yet, they are going to happen, because it is so true. And actually, it's one of the hardest things about being in this profession is that, you're dealing with actual lives, but it's important, and and you do care. That's why you're here. And so, yeah, you're right. You can get quite haunted. But, I implore you to make sure you look after your mental health, Adrian.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's a very valid topic for, the profession currently. And one of the things that moving forward, we really want to try and improve on.
Definitely.
And the awareness around it now is much better. And, people can talk about it more. And that's the key to it, is talking about it. And then again, I'm happy to talk about it. Those are the things you remember. The things you don't remember. But,
and well done.
If you learn from them and they don't haunt you, then that's fine.
No, exactly. And that's the key, is learning from it and moving forwards, and, being able to be a bigger and better physician at the end of it. That's the point. So so well done bringing that up, because these things come up on the CPDs quite often as well, and and I know that new grads and stuff will end up watching this, and the pressure on a new grad is just insane.
It's crazy. And I suppose the one tip, if I had any to deal with that, is try not to view those cases through the lens of hindsight, You know, it's all very well knowing how it went and you do something different now, but it's, you know, faced with the information you had at the time and the patient in front of you, did you make the right choices? And if the answer is yes, then that's okay. Just learn from things and move on, but don't view it with
absolutely. Break it all down and don't catastrophize.
Yeah,
definitely. So my last question to you is, what is your top tip for dealing with pain?
Good question. And I was thinking about this and I thought, do I have a top tip? And I thought, what else have other people said? Because I'm sure these themes keep coming up again. And I thought, do I want to say the same thing? But actually, I think if the same message keeps coming up, then it drums in the importance of the message. But what I will say is, hopefully you've got a little bit of an insight into the fact that I don't really like rules. So I'm not going to give you one answer. I might give you more than one. Because, I mean, a key one that we don't want to get away from is remembering the weight of a patient, right? You know, you can do as much good by bringing the weight of a patient down as you can do with any pain medication that I prescribe. But the two things I would say are, one, from an owner point of view, is don't be scared of trying pain medication or trying physio or trying advice if you're not sure whether there's a problem. Like, don't wait until you know there's definitely a problem. It's that classic thing of, he's not in pain but he's just limping, you know, that kind of classic answer you get from a client. And I think I'd much rather try in my, you know, elderly cat, he's not, but when he is, hopefully, you know, a week's worth of anti-inflammatory every now and again and see whether he improves, right? Because I'd much rather have that peace of mind knowing that he's not in discomfort and hiding it, than you know, the cost of a week's worth of anti-inflammatory. And the new drugs we've got nowadays, you know, some of the new stuff coming on the market is the side effect profile is so low compared to the old stuff that really the risk is minimal. And then I think building on that from the veterinary profession point of view is don't be afraid of pain medication. You know, don't use the one that you've always gone to. You know, there's multimodal, there's more out there. And I know that when I was talking to my physio friend earlier, she said one of the things that she found frustrating is that she would say the dog needs medication or medication, but you can't prescribe it, and the vet's just not jumping on. So I think more drugs is the key take-home message that is in a safe way that I want to give is, more drugs, please.
That's amazing. So thank you so much, because you're absolutely right. Weight is repeated multiple times. And like you say, you can't repeat it enough because it's absolutely a huge issue. And, you know I'm being seen as the Herr Hitler of body weight. Whenever a client comes in, I say, look, I'm really sorry. Just take a deep breath and accept that I'm about to tell you that your dog is overweight. And then we have a chat about it, and, you know, and it's absolutely huge. And, you know, and I do say, without your weight loss, I'm trying to do my job with my hand tied behind my back. You know, it's, you know, we've got to work together as a team and get that sorted. And then, you know, from the pain meds point of view, absolutely right. I've used pain trials on my dog before just to see, and if it doesn't make a difference, I'm like, woohoo, yay, I'm on the right path. And if it does make a difference, I'm like, okay, cool, I can learn from this and we can go forwards. And then, like you say, trying different things because one might not work. So try something else. And, you know, it's about getting it right. And multimodal is definitely the right word, because, you know, A works even better with B, and then, you know, C might need something else completely. And, you know, and every dog is not the same. Absolutely not. So, you know, we've got to get it right for the individual. So, yeah, that's brilliant advice. Thank you for that, Adrian. And people are still speaking, so I must make sure I say, Joe says it would be great if VetsKlinic operated 24/7, so pets didn't have to be taken elsewhere overnight. And a winky face.
So we did do 24/7 over lockdown the first time, which, I mean, it was horrific personally. I think I ended up working 50 days straight, including being on call every single night. So in that format, no thank you to the ongoing 24/7 at VetsKlinic. But I mentioned right at the start that we're planning on having Bristol, and Bristol will be eventually a 24-hour hospital, and people have the option of either going to the local out of hours from our branch practices, or going to the main one at Bristol. It's about 30-minute drive from Swindon. But we'll also have ambulances and stuff to take through. So there is a plan. There is a plan to do 24 hours, just not all by myself.
No, you definitely can't do it all by yourself. It would definitely require a night team. But you know, some people want to work nights, so you know, it doesn't have to be you.
Yeah, and we did have other vets and nurses on nights, and I couldn't have done it without them. I was just backup. So yeah, we will have a night team. Just
awesome. So and it must be this, like, sort of more the east side of Bristol then, if it's only half an hour away, because otherwise that's, you know, so that's That's quite interesting. That's really interesting. So that's really cool. And Barbara says, thank you for your great interview. What a great person. By the way, yes, languages are the gate to the world. We know, we're trying. Thank you, Barbara. You're so right. And Indy says, what a fab future VetsKlinic has. So yeah, and I couldn't agree more.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to our audience. You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you for getting involved. It's been absolutely wonderful having all your questions and some great questions that have come in that I'll probably add to my list for future questions. And thank you, Adrian, for coming on and chatting. You've been so much fun. It's been great getting to know you. And yeah, I will leave you to your evening. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.